On Pilot TV this week, we're taking a turn as planetary protectors with Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler in Lanterns on HBO Max, unravelling more puzzles with David Mitchell in Series 2 of Ludwig on BBC One, and getting a spray tan with Will Forte and Darcy Carden in Australian comedy Sunny Nights on ITV. I'm James Dyer, and welcome to Pilot TV, your essential guide to every show that matters. And I'm delighted, nay, overjoyed to be reunited by my two co-pilots, Steph Seal and Boyd Hilton. How are you? You didn't burn the place down while I was away. That's nice to see.
No, we recovered from recording 4 podcasts in half a minute or whatever.
You did. You did 4 podcasts, and was it 2 days, 3 days?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
4 days.
Yeah.
I only
Heroic.
Did, I only did 2
Heroic
of them.
is the word.
I mean, yeah. You've got a slight tan.
A slight so are you mean I'm ever so slightly less translucent
Yeah, you are. And
than
question,
usual?
Is it Will Forte? Because I've been calling him Will Fort.
Forte.
Forte. Yeah.
It's another one of those.
Pronunciations
things.
are not your forte.
No, they're not. Okay.
No.
Will Forte. That's a great name.
Yeah, but you did 4 podcasts back to back.
4 back to back.
I listened to them all while on holiday in Italy. I have prepared copious notes.
Great.
It is one of those classic things where I'm listening to it and I'm just going because I just I feel the need to respond to your wrongness.
Did
and I wasn't able
you
to.
turn to the Reddit and
did you?
I a couple of strongly worded threads on the
Of course you
Reddit.
did.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can never, ever go on the Reddit again.
Of course not.
And I just want to know, just like give me ballpark, how many emails of vitriolic emails of hatred about Vampire Lestat have you had to head off?
Well, I'm going to say let's get to that. But I think we can balance off the hate over Vampire Lestat with the hate over Alley Cats, because the post-pack has been bulging with both of those. So, but you know,
Wow.
but we covered that a little bit on Pilot Plus. Yes, there was, but it was nice.
Dealt with that. We've dealt
It's
with that.
nice that you and Kay and Steph were able to carry the torch forward in defence of that show.
Yep.
Alone as you were.
I'm still 100% in defence of that show. And it's tender moments, and it's choice of music, and the fact that, I mean, the thing is like, Ricky Gervais literally is the fat cat in that show and the fat cat of Netflix, and that's all we need
I
to
mainly
know.
love it because it's animated, and my love for animation is renowned.
Yes, Boydie, and we will be getting onto that very, very shortly. But before we do that, it is time for what we have been watching. And I'm going to start this week to say that I made a promise to myself when I went on holiday to Italy, Lake Garda, very nice, do recommend it, that I wasn't going to watch any TV for the 2 weeks that I was off. Yeah. And that lasted for 48 hours. And let me tell you what I watched after that. So, where to even begin? First of all, Lioness. I have finished Lioness. I watched all of season 2 while I was away. I am now well into season 3. Unfortunately, they haven't given me all the screenings. You were so wrong in your review of season 3 of Lioness. Like, season 3 is fucking brilliant, and it kicks off with the whole dual timeline thing. The thing that happens in the first episode and then picks up in the second one is mad. Although I will say, I get that if you don't know who any of these characters are, and if you're not invested in them, you're right. I can see why there would be no stakes in what was happening, because the way Lioness kind of works is each season seems to begin with a massive Michael Bay-esque action set piece, and honestly, the quality of them, incredible. There's a rescue at the beginning of season 2, which is like, I mean, it's 100% big screen worthy. This Ukraine one wasn't quite as impressive, but I thought it was really interesting in choosing that as a theatre of war, just because the whole drone thing that's going on in Ukraine is like nothing people have ever seen before. And I thought they did a really good job of portraying that. But yeah,
They did
equally,
use the same shot of thousands of drones about 5 times.
but then I suppose like thousands of drones look like thousands of drones, right?
Yeah.
You know, they do they basically just fly down and blow up. Like they don't do, they weren't doing tricks or anything.
No. Okay.
But I thought season 3 is it's everything I wanted it to be. It's wonderful. So very excited. I hate to say this, Steph. Lioness is my favourite Taylor Sheridan show.
Well, he's in this, isn't he? In this,
He is, and he plays
Yeah.
Cody, the old soldier, and he's not in it much, but he's a lot of fun when he's in it. So yeah, I'm really, really loving
It's
Lioness.
I like the fact that he
Favourite
cast
Taylor
himself as
Sheridan.
a
Favourite Taylor
heroic soldier.
He's also a bit of a dick
Oh.
in it though.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, really, really like Lioness. So I do highly recommend that. Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which we did not review on this podcast.
We didn't, and we should have done.
But what I wanted to talk about was the Griffin incident, which is the
Okay.
second episode of this final season, which is like nothing Star Trek has ever done before, because it is a pure horror episode. It's like full Event Horizon, but it's proved really controversial. I know it's quite unpleasant. It's quite gory. Like, it's a lot for Star Trek. But I think the thing that's upset people is, and I think this was the right decision, they have leaned into a I don't even want to say supernatural, but let's just say there isn't a scientific explanation for what's going on. And obviously that kind of rubs a little bit against what Star Trek is, because it's all about the science and the explanation.
Yeah.
And it is, but it's really, really creepy. And I thought it was great. And actually, I think if they had gone down the more tangible scientific route, you would have robbed it of all its power. I think one of the reasons it's scary is you don't really understand it. But it's a really mad episode of Strange New Worlds. And I think Strange New Worlds, I've talked about the kind of elasticity of the tone of that show, but there's been nothing like that. They've dabbled in horror before with all the Gorn stuff, but this one in particular was really good.
Had you finished Starfleet Academy? Because one of my friends
did finish Starfleet
absolutely
Academy.
bereft that it's been cancelled.
I know.
now.
Well, we're getting a second season, but that will be the last.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked Starfleet Academy. I thought it was loads of fun.
Okay.
The other thing I've been watching is Ted Lasso. I've watched all the episodes they have given us, which is 5 out of the, I want to say, 7 episodes of this 4th season. And I agree with Boydie that the first episode is fucking abysmal, like absolutely awful.
God, I totally disagree with you. Did you listen to the podcast?
I did, yes.
Both Boyd and Kate didn't like it.
It's dreadful.
It's not dreadful.
It's dreadful. It made me not want to persevere, but I'm glad I did, because it is an island in and of itself. It has no relation to the rest of the show, and once you get into episode 2, it's the Ted Lasso that you're looking for. So
it's a setup. It's a setup.
But it was wrong-headed, because I think all of that, and I think Boyd even said this in the review, you could have covered that off in a 3-minute conversation and we'd have all been happier for it. We didn't need to go to Kansas. We didn't need to see all that stuff. It was incredibly predictable. It annoyed me.
I think, as I said at the time, I think there were a lot of good things that came out of that episode, and a lot of nice things that happened in that episode.
Well,
some good messaging.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I did not, but I have enjoyed the series as a whole. I really like the new team. I think it's really fun. Weirdly, I'm enjoying the time with the new team more than I'm enjoying some of the older stuff. Like Roy, I think is great. I kind of am a bit over the Roy Keeley thing, so I'm a bit like, I don't care so much about that. So I'd like to spend,
I think they are stretching that.
Yeah, so I'd maybe like to spend less time on that and more exploring these new characters, because I think Tanya Reynolds is fucking great in this. Jude Mack as the goalie Boots is great. Faye Marceau is really good in this, and I like the twins as well, which I think is Ashton Sharkey and Rex Hayes. Really, really fun. So I'm actually having a lot of fun with this. I do have one bugbear though. I hate Tracy Ullman's character. Hate her. So I'm really struggling with that, because it's so over the top, and I'm like, every time she comes on screen, I'm like, oh god.
If you saw her in her character in Curb Your Enthusiasm,
right,
you will know she goes full on. She does go full on.
I could do without that character. It has to be said.
She's a bit pantomime-y.
A little bit, yeah. So I'm not enjoying that.
Funny,
I love Tracy Ullman. I'm all for her.
I have nothing against her personally. I'm not enjoying her in the show. Yeah. But, it's cheeseballs, all the shows, it's sentimental, and it still kind of straddles that. Is it a comedy? Is it a drama line? I guess, because it's mainly because of the length, I guess. But I'm having fun with it. I'm enjoying it.
I like it. It's getting slated. It seems to be
I don't know
slated.
why. I think...
the criticisms are stupid. I've seen 2 or 3 articles now taking the line that what's the point of bringing it back? What's the point?
What's the point of bringing anything back?
But particularly, it's a sitcom.
Yeah.
I know we've debated long and hard about is it a drama, but it is essentially a sitcom. And sitcoms come back and they just recur and you catch up.
I
it's
do
fine.
understand what people mean by that, and I think I said to one of my Instagram pilot friends that when I'd finished this season, I was like, does this need to be resuscitated? So I can understand some of that.
Need.
I know.
If you do it well,
you're
like
absolutely
this,
right.
if you do it well and it's still supremely enjoyable, it's fine. If you do it badly, like the terrible Frasier return, which was belated, then it's terrible. But there's nothing intrinsically wrong with bringing back a show.
No, and I totally
especially
agree.
This
But I can understand why some people have
But
gone,
that has been the tenor.
Yeah.
I've been surprised by the tenor of the criticism being, what is the point? And you're like, well, the point is to entertain us. It's simple.
Yes.
Which I would argue it does, because it does what it's always done. It has that kind of really positive, feel-good vibe. I think one of these things, and I think we've talked about this before, right? Like, if Ted Lasso had come out in a year other than 2020, would it have been the hit that it was? I don't know that it would have done. It's a good show, timing, but I think it has an inherent optimism and buoyancy to it that we were all so desperate for during lockdown, during the pandemic, that we just embraced it wholeheartedly. And then when it went on its slightly melancholy trip, we were like, okay, what's going on here? It's now a massive downer.
That's true.
And it's not now, which is good. So I think it does what it needs to do, and I actually enjoy the women's football aspect of it. I think it's interesting. We
found a football that you love.
but
my
it's
God.
a different take. Like repeating the same thing with the men's team, we've kind of done that. Where it's actually the kind of the difficulties that the women's team is facing and actually getting recognition, which because the men's team have it, like things like the changing room, stuff like that. That's actually another interesting thread to this. So I'm enjoying Ted Lasso. That is good.
Colour me shocked.
Yeah.
I have been watching House of the Dragon, which is now finished.
Yes.
There's been the finale for House of the Dragon. We have an interview with Ryan Condal, which I need to put up on Pilot Plus, and we need to do a spoiler special for House of the Dragon, the most recent series. But I enjoyed that a lot, but we'll talk about that more on Pilot Plus in detail. What else have I watched? I have been watching The Vampire Lestat, Steph. Now, we talked about this a little bit on Pilot Plus, but Steph has been inundated with hate mail from everyone on the internet after her reaction to The Vampire Lestat.
I don't know how to look straight into the camera, but I would please. Okay, I get it. You're really cross with me, and immediately on the YouTube, I said when someone was really cross with me, I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this because everyone keeps going on. And I also did mention this before, but several really lovely pilot Instagram friends of mine messaged me and explained in detail why they thought I was missing a trick, and it was really, really nice, and it was wonderful, and all the brilliant things about it. And I listened, and we'll get into it, but I have now boxed off season 1.
You have. You watched season 1, and we'll get into that and what you've been watching.
Yes, you go.
But what I'm going to say with The Vampire Lestat is, and I think I've got 2 episodes left to watch.
Okay.
I think it's really good. I am enjoying it. I think what they've done with it is actually quite impressive. This kind of pivot to this, glam rock, high camp version of the show. While I appreciate it, it's not what I wanted. Because what I wanted was what the novel is, which is the historical retreading of the story of Lestat, chronologically repeating all the interview stuff from his point of view, the stuff before that, the stuff after that, the stuff that leads into Queen of the Damned. All of that was what I wanted. This has given me something different. It's thought-provoking, and it's really stylish, and it's really well executed. And it plays into the fact that Sam Reed is just wonderful in that role. And we talked about the singing a little bit. The singing, certainly early on, I think is deliberately
someone's
mixed.
mentioned that it's supposed to be bad.
Because I think it's also about honesty. Like this series, it's all about him as an unreliable narrator and him as kind of being slightly self-deluding. And I think when he starts to be more honest with himself and when his songs become more personal, they really... they're banging. Like they're pretty good. So I think it actually becomes an interesting part of the show. It's kind of this sort of spine of this story. Like I say, it's not what I wanted from these books, being a fan of the books, but as a show, it's really good. So it is a pivot, Steph. So, but we'll get to what you thought of Interview with the Vampire. Yeah. But if you do revisit it, I'd be interested to see what you make of it off the back of the others. But on that particular episode of the podcast, where you let rip on The Vampire Lestat, that was not the only show that we gave a kicking to. The other show we gave a kicking to was serial killer thriller on Disney Plus, Furious. And let me tell you, the response to our review among our listeners was equally furious, because a lot of people were saying, what are you talking about? This show is great. You should give it a chance. And we were like, well, I wouldn't because none of us really liked it. We thought it was very meh. So
Although
I was
we
just
do like Emmy Rossum.
Right. So off the back of many people saying you should give this another chance, it's actually really good. I have watched now, I think about 6 episodes of it. It's really good. You
literally didn't go on holiday. You watched more TV than anything else.
It's true. So I'm really into Furious at the moment. And wow. I think I stand by the fact I don't think the first episode is the best. And we didn't have time to watch a second episode of this one. But I think all the criticisms I had of the first one, that it was a little bit tropey. I thought that the female serial killer in this was very mannered and over the top. And I felt like her boss in the kind of sex crimes unit, I was like, what is going on with this performance? All of these things kind of click into place about halfway through the second episode. And I think Emmy Rossum's character, her kind of domestic violence past and how that plays out with the person that she was with is incredibly gripping. But the serial killer storyline is also a lot more interesting than you are initially led to believe. The motivations behind the serial killer, her MO, like the background, and as the mystery unfolds, it's like it really does get its claws into you. And I've even forgiven her boss for that early episode now. So
I'm going to go back to that.
I am now on board with Furious.
I knew this was going to happen.
What?
Because we definitely stood alone in our criticism of the show, and in other should we say in other TV review podcasts, like I mentioned, I won't name them. They loved it, like people loved it, and it got like 4 or 5 stars in the Guardian. And now we often talk about other people's reviews and Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic and all that bullshit, which I religiously refuse to accept. Means we have to toe their line, but. No. I too watched the second episode.
Okay.
Yes. Mainly out of interest. Once it started getting these really, really good reviews, I was like, oh, what did we miss? I still feel justified. A bit like the first episode of Ted Lasso, the new season. Okay. I still think the way they set the scene in the first episode of Furious is full of cliched moments.
Yeah,
there's
I don't
some
disagree.
terrible dialogue in it. I think it is deeply flawed, but episode 2 is much better.
Yeah,
Episode 2 is
it
much better.
definitely
So
finds
I
its
am
feet.
probably going to have to find time to watch the rest
I
of
think
it.
my issue, right, going back to that like first episode, and we all, as we said, we'd all had problems with it because I'm watching The Shards at the moment, and I am just loving it so much. I don't know whether I probably should go back to Furious. I don't know. It just feels.
Well,
like...
finish the shows first. That's fine.
Yeah, of course. Okay, fine. Just in terms of, bodies being displayed and all that kind of stuff. You know, The Shard seems to be doing that really well.
Sure. It's it's very different though.
Have you watched any of The Shards?
No, I have not, Steph.
Okay.
I have not
You
watched.
would hate that. You shouldn't watch that.
Okay,
You would
good to
hate-
know.
No, you wouldn't like it.
You might do. You never know.
I don't think so. And
It does have obviously the whiff of Ryan Murphy about
I mean,
it.
It's got
yeah.
all the things he wouldn't like, I think.
Okay.
Well, we'll see. But anyway, so I am on board with Furious, and that is
Okay.
where I shall leave it. So I've watched the odd one or two
Wow.
things while I've been away.
Jesus Christ, you've watched loads. Well done, you.
Thank you.
Okay. God, we're doing a lot of reverse ferrets lately, aren't we?
We are. But look, we've touched on it. Tell us about your journey through vampiredom.
Okay, so I spoke a little bit about this before when I'd watched the first episode. So yeah, I have received, like I said, I'm in the midst of a vampiric backlash like I have never, ever known before. I can't believe like how many people are so angry about this show. And whilst, like I said, the many expletives I try not to take notice of, but what I do take note of is when there are impassioned pleas about something, and actually this is really good and this is why. And I took note of those. And I was like, right, I don't want to miss out on a show that I would potentially think is incredible. And so when I watched the first episode, and I said it when we recorded before, I really thought it was exquisite. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Everything about it, the way it was shot, the story, the timeline of the story, loved it. The whole Jim Crow era. It spoke to me on lots of levels. What I would say, now I've boxed off season 1, is the whole way through, Lestat is a toxic, horrendous character, right?
Yes.
He is, and he's supposed to be, of course. But because I'm so in love with Louis, right? I'm so desperately in love with Jacob Anderson, and I want all good things for him because he's so amazing. But since you told me that he is an unreliable narrator and you're only seeing it through his eyes from this, it's made me... Maybe part of me knows too much. So the whole way through, I'm like, oh God, I love Louis. I just want good things for him. Everything that's brought him to this point. Even when he had to become a vampire, and it was just because he was trying to do the right thing. And when he had to kill that, that racist guy, his motivation always is for goodness. And now I'm worried that in season 2, it's all going to unravel, and I'm going to find out actually he's a horrible person because it was.
No, you're not.
Okay, good. So yeah,
That's sorted.
Bailey Bass is unbelievable as Claudia.
Well, don't get attached to her.
Oh
Claudia gets recast in season 2.
no!
Yeah, everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, no, because I don't know.
joking,
This is
yeah,
my big thing about this. And I honestly, if it was possible to blame something on you 1,000%, obviously that's not mathematically possible, but I would blame you because you absolutely cannot judge Lestat, I don't think, without having, and what lots of people say, like, you can't without having watched these first 2. And I really do feel that
But it's
now.
a very different show, though, as we've established.
Right,
It is
so
a very
here comes
different
to my
point.
point.
The point is, you.
Here
it's
comes to my
different.
big point about this, right? And all the massive criticism, right? Having now watched this first season, which is brilliant, and had we reviewed this, I would have been going, God, this is a great show, and this is right on my street, and it's compelling, and it's gripping, and everything about it is immersive, and you really care about the characters, and you really hate Lestat. Well, like I do. I hate Lestat. Now I'm really even more, I feel disappointed that I'm going to watch season 2 and get to the point where, now I know what happens in season 3, which is renamed. It feels like they've ruined it. It feels like, for me, what I'm watching at the moment compared is night and day to what I watched, and it feels like they're going to ruin something that I am really enjoying at the moment.
Well, I don't think they're going to necessarily should ruin it, but it is a completely different type of show.
Yeah,
And
it doesn't
I
feel-
have watched a couple more episodes of The
Okay.
Vampire Lestat, and I have to say, and I've also had a lot of DMs from people saying, by the way, essentially you're right, saying that you're right, Steph.
No.
And saying that seasons 1 and 2 are brilliant, but season 3 goes off the rails.
It was definitely going to be divisive, though, because
Yeah.
it's such a hard left
A
turn.
lot of people think it's gone off the rails for the 3rd season. I watched the 3rd episode. Is an overwrought mess. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It is. I thought it was terrible. I thought it was like Ryan Murphy at his worst, actually.
Really?
There's a Murphy-esque
There's
quality to
right?
this.
You
yeah.
know there is.
Yeah.
And it's got another terrible song. It's got my complaint about the music is I know he's supposed to be he's just acquiring his talent or whatever in the episodes, the first few episodes, but they show us entire songs, terrible songs. We get the idea. We don't need to see the whole fucking song to underline the fact that he's now becoming a pop star and he's not that good. Then eventually he'll get good. Fine. Anyway, that's a mind. The third episode in particular really annoyed me. It's so overall. It's like Ken Russell is worse. It's like and Ryan Murphy, and there's so much going on, and people are shouting.
Issue.
It's one of the shouting.
Volume.
You know, I've got a thing about shouting. It's this is one of the shoutiest single episodes of a TV show I've ever seen. They're all screaming at each other, and I know they're all bloodletting, and they're all but honestly, wait till you watch episode 3. That's my comment.
Can I ask you a question about this? So what I don't understand is because from everything I've seen in this season, this is a beautifully crafted show, right? Interview with Vampire is beautiful, okay? The performances are incredible. Sam Reed is...
Oh, it looks incredible. The money's there on the screen. It looks like it's a huge budget show. I mean, even more now with the new...
So what's happened? I don't understand it. And I know obviously some people are really loving it. Why would they do this pivot? What is that all about?
Well, it's presumably in the original
because of the books. No.
But he is a rock star in it.
He is, and the framing device is he's a rock star. So yes, that is not pulled out of nowhere. But the books are not wildly dissimilar in terms of it's a chronology, it's a history book. Right. It's Lestat recounting his history, and you go from him as a boy to him being made a vampire by Magnus and all the various stuff that goes on, and then it leads into Queen of the Damned, which is kind of the continuation of that story, and it goes into the present day. But it is another really expansive, immersive history. And I can only assume one of the reasons they didn't want to do that is because they'd already done it and they didn't want to repeat what they've done previously.
He is telling the story. They've still got that device on video, isn't it? That's what we've...
I don't know what it's just... Jacob Anderson is just so
he's
alluring.
He is the shining light of this third for me, because he's still in it and he's more on the edge of the action. But like in episode 3, you see he goes to this diner and meets this thing. Yeah, his stuff is still great and he is brilliant. I agree.
The only thing is, I was like, why didn't they burn the body? Like when they, in season 1. I mean, that's just silly. But then I was like, oh, he couldn't because he's so deep. He's deeply in love with him, really, and this toxic love story.
Yeah, it's a whole coercive, controlling relationship, isn't it? Like it's mad. But I think it'd be an interesting pivot to go from that. Would that have even worked? Because like the way Lestat. Because when Anne Rice wrote Interview with the Vampire, she was Louis. Like, he was her perspective character.
Yeah.
She was embodied in him. And then she became more enamored with Lestat, and she ended up doing... like the whole vampire Lestat. And Lestat then became her avatar from then on. Like she fell in love with Lestat while writing the vampire.
He's an abomination. He's horrible.
Well, and this is why the vampire Lestat kind of almost retcons that character. Like it's a big redemption for him.
And you also see characters that are worse than him that make him look.
Yeah,
they're much worse. There's
her
a
point
horrendous
is,
scene involved. Yeah, which is
like Louis is slightly mopey and dramatic, but he is a sympathetic character. Although I would argue he's a very different character in the books. Like he's a plantation owner. He keeps slaves. Like because it's set earlier. Yes. It's not set during the same period as the TV show. Whereas Lestat is the brat prince. Like, yes, he is a narcissist. He's self-absorbed. Like, he's a pain in the arse. But there's something very charismatic and appealing about him. And I think that comes out in the vampire Lestat. And I think it comes out a little bit in the show as well. Like, he is deluded and he is like the most unreliable of narrators. And he is childish and puerile and petty and all of these things. But Sam Reed is so fucking good in that role.
Oh, he's unbelievable.
That you're obsessed with him. You're captivated by him.
He's really good. Look, right, yes, let's go over it again. Yes, I just watched that first episode when but he is great in the season 1. So just give me ballpark, how many emails do you think we've had where people are trying to kill me? About 50? It's more than that, isn't it?
It's like shows how many people listening. That's good.
Yeah. Do you know what a silver lining.
Yeah, totally.
How many would you say, James, emails that we've had?
I don't know. Like we've that dozen or two. Like a few. We've had a few. But to be fair, some of them have actually been very measured and balanced. There were just lots of people. The large consensus was, we think you're wrong, give it another go, or we're quite cross that you're wrong, give it another go. That's the broad.
Okay. Well, I've righted that wrong, if it is a terrible wrong, and I would like to not receive any more messages about Vampire Lestat and how much people hate me. Thank you so much.
Did you watch anything else?
No, that's what I've watched.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Apart from episodes 3 and 4 of Vampire Lestat that I watched, but purely by accident last night, because they were on BBC 2 live last night quite late, like 11 o'clock. I was like, oh, okay, I'll watch these then. And 3 is a piece of work. Because you know what I'm talking about, episode 3.
I'm trying to remember
So
because I watched them all kind of back to back. So
there's an act of kind of sexual violence in it.
oh yes, I do know what you're referring to.
Yes. Anyway, I have been watching Sterling Point.
Oh, do you know
which
what?
we neglected to review because it was the week where there were like 4 shows possible to do and only 3 slots.
And we watched Hit Point instead.
We did Hit Point, another show with the word point in the title, which I like. I like Hit Point. But Sterling Point, I think we'd all like much more than we would expect. Sterling Point is the latest in what is an extraordinary long line of Prime Video's teen dramas.
Is it an off-campus?
It's joining the list of off-campus, and they're literally. But Prime Video is now like old bloke crime stuff, dadcore, Reacher, etc., which we dissected in the last episode of Plus, by the way, and teen stuff. And this is, it's kind of like, it's not like off-campus. It's much more. This is like an indie teen drama. It's 8 episodes and everything. Kind of that seems to be the set length now for Prime Video, by the way. You can't make anything that's 6 or 10. It has to be 8 episodes. Anyway, which often does not produce a decent enough story. This is a very kind of deliberately quirky, but not in an annoying way, indie flavoured attempt to do a teen drama, and it's really clever and smart. And it's all about this young woman, these 2 adopted twins, a boy
so
and
I
a
watched
girl.
like 8 minutes of it before
they're like 17, going on 18. And their dad, played by J2 Plus, who is one of the darlings, of course, of American indie cinema, it turns out that they've been left in the will of their grandfather an entire Canadian island, a small Canadian island. And she finds out about this kind of by stealth, because he doesn't want them to know for some reason, the father.
dad doesn't want them to know, right, okay.
And not only that, she finds out, this is all in the first 10, 15 minutes, she finds out that he's been keeping communications from this grandfather to the kids away from them. He hasn't let them see them over like decades. Because, and there's this big mystery.
But is he their real? Is he their real grandfather?
He's their real. I think he's. No, I think he's the
adoptive
father of the son. Yes,
right.
The adopted grandfather. Yeah. So there's this whole. So that's the setup. So she goes off without telling her dad, lying to her dad about she's got a brilliant gay boyfriend who hasn't yet.
Oh yeah, I
come
saw
out,
that.
Which
that
is
funny.
handled hilariously, by the way, and because he's so.
Because she says, "I'm gonna when he comes out to himself, then I'm gonna break up with him. But until then, we'll just keep going with it." Yeah.
And she lies and tells her dad that she's gone off with him to his trip to Thailand. He wants to go to Thailand without her. That's a brilliant scene.
Thailand.
There's a brilliant scene where she's like, "Oh, come to Thailand with you," and he's like, "Oh, will you?" And then like he doesn't want to tell Clee because he wants to live out his gay life in Thailand. Anyway, it's really smart. The script is brilliant. The acting, she is phenomenal. The main woman, who is Ella Rubin, playing Annie Jacobson. And all of the kind of milieu, if I can use that word, she meets the guy who kind of takes her on a private plane to the island from the mainland is immediately this hot young guy, sensitive. Hot, he's very off campus.
Right, okay.
You will love him. You'll fall in love with him after about 10 seconds.
Definitely going to watch this.
And then, but then there's another rich family who are there, who she has connections to, and she goes to this big party. But to cut a long story short, it's really, really good.
Okay.
It's like, it's kind of not as, in a way, off campus is quite a mainstream kind of thing, but with all the raunch. It's not as raunchy as that. Certainly not in the first couple of episodes that I've watched, but it's still dealing with very much present day sexuality, gender issues, and all of that. But the intrinsic story is really interesting as well. The mystery of why did the dad not want his kids to know about their kind of grandfather figure. And then the final thing that I have to say I saw, because I know this will make James extremely jealous, is I went to the production of Game of Thrones, The Mad King, at Stratford-upon-Avon at the weekend. This is the stage drama.
Didn't invite me.
I wasn't given a +1.
No, it's fine.
Wasn't given a +1. I was reviewing it for Radio 4, so they couldn't afford to give me a +1. It's extraordinary, yeah. So this is this 4-hour, including a 20-minute interval, but 4-hour play set kind of about 15 to 20 years before the events of Game of Thrones, for the first season of Game of Thrones.
Where is it in A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, though? Where is
Post
it in
all that?
Post all that. So
Post
like
House
hundreds
of the Dragon.
Yeah, those are like hundreds of years ago, aren't they?
No, I know.
100 years ago, prequels. This is a 10 to 15 year prequel.
Okay.
So it's kind of establishing what happened and why the characters we know,
It's
like Ned
Eris,
Stark,
the Mad King, isn't it?
Yeah, he's the Mad King. The Mad King is fantastic. It's just really beautifully done. It's kind of epic as it can be on stage. I was worried, like, how are they going to transfer, the Game of Thrones epicness to a stage? But there's this the stage is set like across. They've reconfigured the whole seating arrangement. It is the way they do puppeteering of the horses and the dragon, a dragon, is brilliantly done. It's just, if you like Game of Thrones, it is fucking incredible.
We should go.
Yeah, would have been nice if Boyd had brought us, really, wouldn't it?
I did not get +1, or let alone a +2. It's all sold out anyway.
Maybe me and Steph will go and see it.
You should go and see it. It will, and it's only at Stratford upon Avon now. It's only running for about another 8 weeks, I think. But it will definitely come to the West End. It will go to Broadway. They'll make a film of it. It'll be a phenomenon.
Oh,
it'll be a Game of
amazing.
Thrones.
Hooray.
So that is what I've been watching, which is actually a live play.
Okay,
right. That is it for what we have been watching. And now we're going to do something ever so slightly different. Those of you who listen to Pilot TV will know that we have a blind spot, right? And our blind spot is the animated arts. So, and anyone who subscribes to Pilot TV Plus, and if you don't, why don't you? You will know that we have been taking steps to remedy this issue. So we've had this animation intervention thing going on where people have been sending us things that they want us to watch. But the thing is, we're just not qualified to judge because we are animation Luddites. We don't really know what we're talking about. We don't really know what we're doing. So I have called in a ringer to solve this conundrum for us. So essentially, here in this very studio with us here is John McEwan-Whyte. Hello, John. How are you?
Hi.
Now, we should say you are a Pilot Plus subscriber. Which is what the reason you're here, of course, is what your subscription pays for. You get to come on the podcast.
Yeah.
You are also an award-winning writer and producer, and crucially, founder of an animation production company.
Yeah.
So you are a quote-unquote professional.
Wow, you're like the best person in here.
Yes.
Well, it's not difficult, but
No, it's not.
And also, could we just say props to John for coming back? Because John's last time in this studio was to do the spoiler special for Foundation Season 3, I want to say. And it was entirely derailed by the arrival of one Taylor Swift. And so the spoiler special...
Only 700 times.
Right.
Yeah.
So the spoiler special was mainly John sitting alone in the studio with Helen while I stalked Taylor Swift around the building.
For an hour.
For an hour.
We can
An
only
hour?
apologise.
That is
Yeah.
so
And
unprofessional.
I
from
regret
Scotland.
nothing.
I came all the way from Scotland.
He did.
And for an hour, he came in every 10 minutes and was like, right, let's get started with the podcast. And he was like, you know what? I'm just going to go outside. I'm just going to go outside and I'm just going to wait. And he'd come back and be like,
I
right,
can't
let's...
believe that Helen was on board with this.
And I returned to Scotland, right? And here's an interesting fact about Taylor Swift, by the way. My wife loves Taylor Swift. She has the same birthday as Taylor Swift, December 13th. I have the same birthday as Travis. What's his name? Kelsey, 5th of October.
That
Is that not a bit weird?
It is
That's why
Providence.
James.
Weird.
That's why James has got you on the podcast.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
the only reason.
probably it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I returned and my wife was like, why on earth didn't you go out and see Taylor Swift?
Yeah, especially as he was out.
And me and Helen were too cool. Me and Helen
They
had
were
a
too
really
cool.
nice
They
rapport.
bonded over Foundation while I went and saw Taylor Swift.
So James was so desperate to find someone to talk about Foundation that he kind of kidnaps you from your life.
I mean, I offered my services.
Okay.
That is where you went wrong.
Yeah.
So you have history with the podcast, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, but
History.
obviously
Yeah.
not a positive experience,
Yeah,
as
yeah,
we have
yeah,
just
yeah.
explained.
Locked
So,
in a room with Helen O'Hara is not the worst
No,
experience
that
in the
is
world.
exactly
well,
not.
but it's Boyd's idea of heaven.
Yeah.
I would just say, James, that I am building quite the dossier of monstrous behaviour from you, okay? And this is going in, all right?
Monstrous.
Yeah, again,
And I have
unrepentant.
And I have 2 children. And they were crying when I came home.
Did you send
I'm
them
not
the
laughing.
video of
God.
Taylor Swift waving at me to make them feel better?
Do you want to hear something else that's funny?
Yes.
My wife's best friend, right?
Yeah.
She's a fantastic doctor, and she sent my wife the video that you took.
Excellent.
Because it went like viral.
Yeah.
Well,
And I got in trouble for it, but that's neither here nor there.
Yes, let's not mention that again.
Anyway, we have derailed the podcast, as is our wont, but John is here to educate us in the animated arts. Now, so we have fed a lot of your listener contributions of things we should watch to John, and John, with his expert eye, has looked through them. And so, John, how are you going to do this? Because, you know, we do have a problem here. I think we can all admit we have an issue with animation.
Well,
I just really resent you constantly. You're like, you two,
Yes.
okay, like pulling me into your gang of animator haters.
Okay, look,
Like-
and I know I'm a TV snob, right? But when you say I'm into animation, I don't think Danger Mouse counts.
Okay, does Thundercat count? Thundercats count?
Thundercats.
count. I love animation.
Yeah.
I've never stopped loving animation since I was younger. So
you
I
seem to be
don't-
nodding here, John. So are
Yeah.
you validating this type
I'm
of animation?
validating Steph.
Right,
Steph is
okay.
always very polite about animation.
Yes.
And, right, I'll get into what we're doing.
Okay.
But I want to report on, or I want to respond to something that happened in the 400th episode.
Oh,
okay?
good. I wasn't here. This
Right?
is Alley Cats.
which is like a legend. Like that's a piece of history. Like
Yeah.
that'll be recorded and I'd be on the moon and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
To quote, right, on the 400th episode, Boyd, that you knew that this was coming, and you now work with me technically.
Yeah.
So you'd think you'd be nicer about this.
Yeah.
At one point, they're speaking about Alley Cats. Kay says, "I'm not really into animation."
She
Boyd
did.
says, "Who is?"
And what do I say?
And I think you probably said something lovely like, "Animation's great."
Yeah. Steph went,
Shut up.
tenfold. Shush.
Yeah.
I was saying that ironically to comment
of
with
course.
an arched eyebrow on
Yes.
my history of not
Oh,
Yeah,
were
yeah,
you?
being an
yeah.
animation fan.
Yeah.
That's what it was, an illusion.
Yeah.
Do you know what's even worse about that? Is because I listened back to the episode and you said, and I was the one who was saying the animation's so beautiful, it makes me feel at home, I absolutely love it. And then later on you say, you were going, and as you say, Kay, the animation is beautiful. And I was like, wow.
You are
Because Kay-
interchangeable, to be
Yeah,
fair.
that's true.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, because Kay is not entirely an animation fan either. So
No.
you're the one who
love
flies the flag.
animation.
I mean, I would say Kay's neutral.
She's
Right?
neutral.
Steph is positive.
I think she is. I think if she saw
We're
some really good animation, she'd be like, she would be able to enjoy it. But she's not like me. She's not going to watch, American Dad or Family Guy.
Absolutely
She doesn't
not,
like
no.
that.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that's fair. Because I think, like, animation, but as we said, animation is not a genre, it's a medium, right? This is a thing, isn't it? And which is what you're about. I'm taking the words out of your mouth. Go on, John, hit us with
Yeah,
it.
go on.
Well, I guess so. Like, animation isn't a genre or a medium or whatever. It's just like animation is just another thing. Like, there's so many ways you can explain what animation is. You could call it like another camera when you're making things. There's lots of documentaries that have animation in them as well. Like, I think it's easier to animate now. With kind of not necessarily the AI side of things, but with technology that is kind of much more advanced. Like look at Flow, which is a film that won
yeah.
an Oscar.
I love
Done
that.
with
See,
open
Love
source
it.
software.
when they tried to call me out and they were like, "You don't love animation. Tell us the last thing you saw that you thought was amazing." I was like, "Flow," and they went, "Oh, okay."
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
and Flow is and there's so much nice stuff. I think you just kind of have to get over it.
Yeah, I
Like just
agree.
it's like
Yeah,
saying
you two get over it.
Yeah, it's
Come
like saying
with me,
I
John.
don't watch Scottish shows, and there's a
Oh,
lot
well,
of
to
history.
be fair,
Well,
I
pretty
think we
much
can
well.
all agree we don't
know?
watch.
Pretty much any
So-
example you're about to say there, if I don't watch, could be applied to James.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Including Scottish shows, I think,
Yeah.
generally.
Wow, there's loads of things that are shot in Scotland. Like, the Spider-Man movie was shot in Scotland, by the way?
Was it?
Yeah.
Yes,
The Odyssey was shot in Scotland.
Yeah.
FYI, Scotland. The place to be.
Right.
Just to confirm, John is Scottish.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm also Scottish. This was actually
Okay.
my notes.
Yeah. Would you
So-
say we're working together on the Edinburgh TV Festival
Yeah.
event, which is, by the way, 2 weeks today.
It is.
Horrifyingly.
Horrifyingly. But we'll
Just
be
saying.
fine.
Yeah, we'll be
It'll
Are
fine.
you
It'll
going,
be
Boydie?
fine.
Yes, I am
Yeah,
hosting.
I hope so.
I was going to say we
John
were
is
offered
producing.
some interviews up there, so
Well, you
Is
can
one,
do
of,
one.
is one of them with Boyd?
yes, actually, yes. Would you like to speak to Boyd Hilton of the Pilot TV podcast?
Yes.
Animation interviews?
Perhaps. Who knows? An
Well, let's do
animated
it.
interview might be the way
Let's
to
do
go.
it. Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, as Scottish, Scotland is good. It's okay if you don't know if something is Inverness or not.
Oh, are you
Just
going
to
to-
flag.
It's not really.
Okay.
Is it?
Right.
Are these going to be exclusively Scottish animations you
No,
can recommend
no,
for us?
no,
Okay.
no. Do you want me to talk through my plan?
Well, first of all, I would like us to individually sort of explain ourselves. So, Boydie, why are you an animation twat? Go on, explain.
Animation twat. Okay.
Yes.
I think I would describe it as there's loads of great animation that I love. So these Into the Spider-Verse, those films,
Okay, film.
beautiful. Two of them,
Okay, two
brilliant.
films.
Two films. The Simpsons at its height, I was of course watched it fairly religiously. I grew up watching the Flintstones, and
Really?
That's animated, John.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I'm not intrinsic. What I'm saying is, I'm loads of great animated films. Yeah, I think I'm not a big fan of the shall we say modern day rude. Cheeky, rude
Adult animation.
Get that,
Shows.
and I can speak about that.
Family
Yeah,
Guy,
yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
Ren and Stimpy.
I
Going
mean,
back.
that's definitely like 20.
I am an old man. I'm.
You
I'm
look
an
very
aged,
young, Boyd.
Thank you. So that stuff. So there was The Simpsons, which is one of the great shows
Yeah.
of all time, and then all the other things that came afterwards.
Yeah.
I wasn't particularly into. But essentially, it comes down to I have to watch everything. I watch all new shows in most genres, partly for this podcast, but partly for my day job, writing for Heat and Empire, etc. And I just my honest explanation is not explanation. No, honest taste is for live action stuff. So I'll always gravitate more to live action than I do animation in general. So it's an apologia from me, really, that I know that is inane and stupid of me, but for some reason. You know, even The Simpsons, I was like, wouldn't this be better if it was actually live action? You know, it's insane. But it's my honest response is, for some reason, I'm much more attracted towards live action than I am animation, and I apologise for that. But it is the case. If you gave me 20 shows to review, and 10 of them were animated and 10 of them were live action, there's no way I'm going to go to the animated side of that divide. It's like that, really.
I was hoping you'd be a little bit more of a dickhead there, so I could fight you.
Yeah,
but that's like very fair points and very fair
but still
reasons.
small-minded of me. You know?
I think what is happening right now that I'm seeing from within the industry is there is a massive change in animation. And when you talk about adult animation, so that's like rejects. When I mention if I'm working on an adult animation project and I mention that to my granny, she thinks I'm working on porn.
Yeah.
Hentai.
Yeah, to try and explain that to her. But
Thinks your granny thinks you're working on adult animated porn.
If you say I'm working on an adult animation, then
she'll be like, what? And then I'll have to be like, whoa. I won't let her think that.
Okay, good.
I'll correct her quickly.
Okay, fine.
And there is some adult animation that is borderline porn. Felix the Cat, if we go back, I think.
The advert?
No, this is going back decades too. Okay. There was a period where they made kind of like very adult animation
What is happening?
Sorry. Yeah, you Google it, have a look. Yeah.
That's getting a number crunch.
Ralph Bakshi. Do you know Ralph Bakshi? Have you heard of Ralph Bakshi?
Yeah.
This is my history of animation for you. So Ralph Bakshi was a very famous animated film director back in the day. I'm talking like 70s, 80s, and he did this thing called Felix that was very rude, cheeky, saucy, and I think it was X-rated. He also did the version of Lord of the Rings. James, you must know about this. And I went to see that in the cinema.
With Leonard Nimoy singing the song to it or something
I think so, yeah. And it was awful. And I think that might have scarred me in my history.
It could be.
Because it's a terrible, terrible version of Lord of the Rings.
But what I'm saying
anyway.
Just quickly on that, right, because I know you're saying something maybe just as nice, which is very lovely. But what I'd say is adult animation within the industry, they're massively changing. When they say adult animation, really what they're actually aiming for is 16 to 24 males. Like that's actually what the demographic is, even though they're saying.
Yeah.
So they're really working hard to go beyond that because there's this massive wealth of people that could get into it, but they need to move on from like I love Rick and Morty, but my wife will never watch it because Rick has a little bit of sick on his mouth. And Rick and Morty is a project that was made, I believe, at a time when we were a little bit more comfortable with the world or the world wasn't as scary. So it could be nihilistically, endlessly nihilistic. And I think what we're seeing right now is there's a lot more shows that actually like mean stuff and matter and aren't just like classic animation. Yeah. And I think more creators are getting involved. Like Richard Linklater did a really interesting project on Netflix called Apollo 11 or Apollo 13, massively worth a watch. And that goes to show like that's a fantastic live action animation. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. These are all movies. But what I'm saying is,
we discuss movies. We love talking about movies.
We love talking about movies. Yeah. The more creatives, I'm seeing a lot more creatives see animation as an opportunity to basically spread their canvas. Yes. And it's nice to see that. That's my response.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right, Steph, we've established that you are just a fan of animation across the board, so that's...
Well, no, I would just say, the thing is that I don't like to exclude anything from... I just think, I'm very much on just entertainment is entertainment, whatever form it comes in. So that's where I sit with anything like that. And Alley Cats is a great example of that.
Is it?
James, look, we've spent 2 weeks apart, and I want us to come back together and be the best friends that we are, okay?
Of course, carry on.
No, so I just feel like...
You're just an open-minded person.
Well, no, I just think if it's entertaining, in whatever form, it's entertaining and you can enjoy it.
Yeah.
If you know, if the script is good, it'll be enjoyable. It doesn't matter if it's a fucking animated cat or, you know, it doesn't, I don't know. That's just where, but maybe that's a very simplistic view.
No, I would argue
know.
that's probably the way most people should approach entertainment, where you shouldn't be alienated by the form. You should, you know, appreciate it for what it is. I wish I could be more like that. I struggle with that a little bit. Because let's discount the Seth MacFarlane oeuvre, because I think there's a, as you say, I think the kind of quote-unquote adult animation thing, there is a smugness to it, and then they're slightly irritating, and I think that transcends the animated medium, and it's just they have a vibe that just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
One that was good. So I just remembered one that I did. BoJack Horseman was good.
Yeah,
I
and
love
BoJack Horseman, I had to stop watching because it was too sad.
Yeah, it's
and
really,
it's meant to be like a silly comedy.
Yeah, that's quite. That went quite dark.
There's
and
a
serious,
beautiful episode of BoJack Horseman about his mum dealing with Alzheimer's.
Right.
And they use
We've seen
animation
that one,
to squiggle out people's faces.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
a
that
way
was
of
brilliant,
using animation to increase your storytelling abilities, as opposed to just saying this is going to be animation. And also you can get into like budget, and like it's much easier to shoot a space battle with animation than it is to actually shoot a space battle. There's not that many space battles that we know of.
That we know of. But you didn't even like BoJack Horseman, did you?
I didn't know. No.
Okay. So explain yourself. What's your problem?
I think there are a number of aspects to it. I think part of it comes down to the way I kind of watch things, which is like I need to be immersed in it. I need to be completely consumed by it. Like I live it. Like I project into things. So it's pure escapism for me. I'm never kind of sitting on a sofa watching it, and if I am, then there's something's gone wrong, because I should be in the story when I'm watching it. And I find the animated medium sometimes a barrier to that. In the same way, I find like comedy that breaks its own rules also pulls me out of the story a little bit. And I think there are two reasons for it. I think sometimes it's just, I was going to say bad animation, but actually I think that's a slightly ignorant way of looking at it. I think it's simplistic. So you take Invincible, right? So it uses a very simplistic style of art, right? The animation itself is not the issue, it's the art style. And because it's very simplistic, and that's a stylistic choice, I find that hard to get into, because I just see, you know...
So this is an access issue for you?
A little bit, but also I don't like, and I've talked about this before, animation voices, where...
Oh, I love an animation
talk about
voice.
X-Men 97, right? People don't talk like that. That's just not how people speak, because it's these incredibly overblown, over-egged, animated voice that they put on. And again, it takes me out of the story, because there's no verite to it. Like, it doesn't feel real to me.
You know what you would love? Alley Cat.
I was going to say, absolutely, because they are very naturalistic conversations.
Yeah, I'm
they're not
hoping he's watched.
animated.
I asked him to watch.
Have you
one,
watched
so I'm
Alley
hoping
Cats?
he has.
I really
Be honest,
want
John.
Ricky Gervais to be my friend.
Okay, fair enough.
No, I watch it. It's fine. It's good. It's like it is like.
So I put you on the spot here.
A podcast with his friends that he animated.
Yes, which is how he describes it.
I think maybe I feel like people are being a bit too mean about it.
Right, so do I.
I think like there's probably things out there that are much worse than that.
Oh God, yeah.
And I think as well, what I get annoyed is that people are like, he just decided to do animation. He doesn't know anything about animation. He's actually has done animation more than most people have.
Yeah.
Like,
in fact, he did the Ricky Gervais show, which was animated conversations with Carl Pilkington and Stephen Merchant back in the day. Yeah.
Honestly, that was I loved that.
Yes,
I thought that was very inspiring.
Yeah,
and
I loved
the
that.
animation was really cool there, and it was. It seems so obvious now, like you animate a podcast, but that was I think that was good.
Yeah.
So that's what I have to say about Alley Cats.
Okay. Very deftly handled. Anyway, the point of this is we all, for our various wrong-headed reasons, Steph not included, fail to access this medium for one reason or another. And John is going to fix us, aren't you, John?
Yeah.
Tell us how you're going to do that.
Okay, so there was loads of amazing suggestions, brilliant suggestions by very talented people. And there was too much to go into.
There was too much.
Also,
yes.
what was the majority of them were quite well-known ones that you guys probably know of or have seen or tried to watch or something like that. So there's a few Samurai Jack's fantastic. Bob's Burgers is great. The Batman animated series is fantastic. There's a new Batman animated series on Amazon which is actually very, very good, and it's worth a watch. So Arcane you've watched already. We've spoken about BoJack. Fantastic. And Blue Eye Samurai is amazing.
Yes. And
really.
Blue Eye Samurai and Arcane, to be fair, I didn't finish Blue Eye Samurai, but I did finish Arcane both seasons and loved it to bits.
Yeah.
So.
Blue Eye Samurai, you definitely need to finish Blue Eye Samurai. What are you doing?
I know, I got distracted, but I was really enjoying it while I was watching it.
So I also thought I'd throw in, someone mentioned Wolf King.
Yes, I
Right.
mentioned Wolf King because I love
Yeah.
that style at the moment.
Wolf King is a beautiful style,
Yeah.
beautiful story,
It
very
really
well told.
is.
Here's an interesting fact: made by the people that make Hollyoaks.
Shut
Yeah.
up.
Yeah,
That's why Steph likes it.
yeah,
Is that ostensibly a kids show or?
yeah, like YA.
It is,
But it's more
but
than
it is
that.
more than that. It
It's
is
more
very
than that.
good. Like and actually you can really immerse yourself in Wolf King.
Yeah, that was maybe going to be the recommendation for you, but I think you'd be like, it's a kids show. Blah blah blah.
It's
blah.
not though. It's,
Okay.
it's you.
But I feel John may maybe not a million miles away from that. Maybe my reaction.
Okay, I'm just saying it's really good.
And then so this is just worth throwing in. Disney Plus did a really, really cool show called Iwahu, which is made by an African animation studio. And it was based off this African animation studio was interviewed by BBC and they said, we want to kick Disney in the ass. And Disney said, let's have a conversation. And it was Disney Animation, Walt Disney Animation, their only ever TV show they've ever made. And it's really, really good. It didn't do huge numbers, but it's good. Again, possibly thinking about James, but he'd be like, it's a kid's show. I don't want to watch it.
What is wrong
I know.
with you?
What is wrong with you, James?
I mean,
he didn't say any of this.
I
I'm just
know, but
imagining
we
it.
probably
But
will.
you're inherently right.
I
Yeah.
probably would.
Yeah.
And then finally, Marvel's What If. Have you watched that?
I watched the whole of season 1. Yes.
Marvel's What If is like the MCU you want more of, and it just gives you more of. It's amazing. It's so good.
Unfortunately, and this probably speaks to my whole problem, my main takeaway from that is, why isn't this live action?
Because they couldn't afford.
Of course, and I know that. I
know.
know that's the answer.
They can
and they
do-
couldn't get all the actors, and
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter if you're just using people doing their voices. But yeah,
It gets better. And see, like Shang-Chi, who hasn't been in the Marvel for ages, Shang-Chi's like a huge part of the Marvel What If universe. It's really worth
you
it.
could also say something along the lines of Avatar is an animated movie, right?
Exactly.
And I love Avatar.
Yeah.
But then you get to the point which I think, but you're just wrong. But
I almost spent £30 on an Avatar tin that my friend popcorn tin.
Avatar. The popcorn bucket. Okay.
Yeah, it lit up.
Fair
My
enough.
friend didn't let me get it.
But again, it's about visuals, and one of the reasons I loved Arcane is because it's so stunning to look
Yeah.
at that it elevates it for me.
And just to flag about Arcane, right? That is a very much a rarity in
Yeah.
that usually you go to a company and you say, here's my idea for a show, and they say, here's some money, or here's all the money, go and make the show. Arcane went to Netflix pretty much, and they were the gaming company that's in charge. I can't remember of who's in League of Legends.
Riot Games, League of Legends, yeah.
We're like, we're going to make a thing, and here it is. It's the most expensive animated show ever made. I'm pretty sure it still is.
It looks like it.
You could not make that. It's an advert for a game. That's the only way you get it. So Arcane is brilliant and fantastic, but you got to stop saying that that's your reference point because it's almost impossible to make stuff.
Oh, I
like
like it when he's told off.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You've got to stop saying that's your
Yeah.
reference.
Oh, I'm
point.
so
Move on
sorry.
from
Well,
fucking
you know,
Arcane,
yeah.
all right?
I've peaked. I've started with the best. What can I say?
Yeah, it is the best, and it shows you have taste. So that's one
thank
good
you.
thing.
Well.
Right. So the three modern essentials, I would say, Blue Eye Samurai, Bluey, and Arcane. I've
Bluey.
just said don't reference Arcane, but those are the three
Yeah.
ones that are great.
Yeah.
But okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give everyone a tailored animation recommendation.
Wow.
Okay.
God, this is so exciting.
Maximum 30 minutes of watching. Okay, and if you don't want to go past
already on
30
board.
minutes, you're done. And I've got So I'll start with K.
Yes.
Okay.
Kay.
Right.
Kay.
And
Beloved.
some of these, I think we can have open discussions and we can pitch in and we can maybe change because there's some. Basically, I think I can convert Boyd. You're converted. It's James we're trying to take down here.
Why are you always the problem?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Why?
Yeah. You're the problem. It's you.
It is.
Taylor
Hi,
Swift.
it's me.
Yeah. That's a Taylor Swift word.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Kay. I would recommend for her. And I've tried to figure out if you guys have reviewed this or not. So for Kay, Pixar has made 2 TV series. One is an Inside Out spin-off, which is really, really good and very, very moving and brilliant. But that was clearly like Disney were like, make a spin-off to something you know. If Pixar were to make a TV show, they'd make their own thing. And it's called Win or Lose.
Oh my God, I love Win or Lose. It is so good.
Did you review it?
It
We
is-
did
no.
review it. Was
Did
Kay
you?
on? We did review it, yeah. I can't remember whether Kay was on when we did it.
I love Win or Lose so much that I've
beautiful.
rewatched it twice. It's so
It's
good.
so good.
Yes,
It's so good.
good.
And it's like got the quality of
Oh,
Pixar.
and it's emotional.
It's
but
so emotional.
Oh, God. It is so
Did it make
I mean,
you
Steph's
cry?
already
Yes,
converted,
of
right?
course
Yeah,
it made me cry. It was so beautiful when he's like, just the whole love.
The love
whole
story.
love
That's the one I was going to
story
speak
is
about. The love
so
story.
good.
And you see inside his head, and he's so small.
I
and it's
know.
so sad.
And you just want for him so much. You're like, I'm dying.
What is it about? What is it?
Okay,
I've
so
forgotten
it's like a softball league, right?
Oh, yeah.
Softball, which is a thing in America. I
Yeah.
think it's like rounders.
Yeah.
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 Softball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Effectively
exactly
round.
around it.
Softball league, and every episode follows a different member of the team.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah.
But like that's like the basic concept. But
Yeah.
what's really good is it's looking at basically like feelings and
Human
anxieties,
connection.
human connections.
It's just so
and
special.
even though some are kids, some are adults, but it's like a genuinely very moving idea of we all live in this world and we all feel so alone, even though we're surrounded by people. And it looks at the different ways that that can happen, but also uses different styles of animation to show those things. And it's really good. So for Kay, I was gonna recommend the love episode.
Yeah, definitely. She'll like that.
Yeah, I can't remember which episode that was.
I'll dig it out.
Yeah. And see, and also Rhea Seahorn.
Oh,
Ray Seahorn.
right.
Ray Seahorn.
Friend of the pod.
Friend pod. She voices one of the characters.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
what more do you need?
We're on board.
Okay, Boyd.
Yes.
Right. I feel like I'm Santa. This is very cool.
Yeah.
You know in Narnia when he gives people like
Turkish
bow and
delight?
arrow? Yeah. No, so which that wasn't.
No,
Santa.
who eats Turkish delight?
Yeah,
It's
sick
like
Like,
Turkish
people,
delight.
sick people.
you,
Oh,
I think you told me this
no.
before, and that is
Disgusting.
so
Do
odd.
you like licorice as well?
Yeah.
Oh,
he's
do you
a
like
monster.
aniseed
He's a
balls?
monster.
Yeah.
Aniseed balls,
Do
Turkish
you know the
delight.
worst thing? The
Pernod?
only alcohol I genuinely like to taste of is Sambuca.
That's
Genuinely
not
true.
That's nuts.
Horrendous monster. That's what we did.
Yeah, you are.
Again, going in the dossier.
Yeah.
Okay, Boyd.
Yes.
This is more risky,
Okay.
but it's very interesting.
Is it that weird cat porn thing that you're talking about?
Yeah. Felix the cat.
Yeah.
No. So you're a very classy guy.
Thanks, man.
He
Yeah,
is classy.
he is.
He's
Yeah.
so
He's
lovely.
prestige.
He is. He's
You
such. Do you know
know-
what? He's a real. The thing about Boyd is Boyd
Yeah.
is such a gentleman.
He is actually
He
a
really
gentleman.
is.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
he
right.
is.
True gent.
Very
Thanks.
lovely guy.
Anyway.
But also, you love Doctor Who. You have
Yes.
that secret little sci-fi side of you.
No, it's not so secret, but
It's
yeah.
not so it's out there.
Yeah.
It's fully out
Yeah.
there.
So combine the sci-fi, combine the classy, and combine the uniqueness of you, Boyd. Okay? Tom Hanks has created and starred in his own animated TV show, but it came out like 15 years ago, right? And it's called Electric City, right? Now, the annoying thing is, Electric City, you basically can't watch it anywhere unless you're in Spain or the US, but
Spain.
Yeah.
Why Spain?
So you're going to
I've just
Spain,
come
boy.
back from Spain.
yeah, it's on Amazon Prime in Spain for some reason. But you can, I don't know if this is allowed, right? But you can, all the episodes are on YouTube,
Oh, okay.
okay? And each episode is like 2 to 3 minutes.
Wow.
Right? But Tom Hanks voices characters. There's other famous people in it. It's about kind of it's kind of like it's a bit of a mystery. It slowly unravels. I think the animation, because it's done in 2D, it kind of ages well, so it kind of never looks old. And it's about kind of a dystopian society that you can't really understand why they have electricity, but they don't use it a lot. And there's a lot of kind of mystery, and you find out about one of the characters' kind of backstories, and you learn about the history of the world. But like Tom Hanks is very good and very talented, and this is something that I
I've
don't
heard of
think.
him.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Tom, thank you.
He's a regular listener.
Yeah.
What's it called again?
Electric City.
City. Oh man, that sounds interesting.
Found
I've never
on
heard of it.
YouTube.
Never heard of it. Yeah.
Watch
Wow.
that.
Okay.
But you have to watch 30 minutes of it.
Sure. Okay.
And it's really, really cool and really different.
Steph doesn't like post-apocalyptic dystopias, by the way.
Yes,
Don't
but
you
I
like
love
that?
animation and I love Tom Hanks, so I'm
just
going to
saying.
watch it.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. See? That's
I know
good.
that's working already.
Okay, Steph, right? You already like animation.
I do.
So you're fine, right?
Okay,
But I'm
so
going to give
let-
you.
oh,
I'm
no,
still
I'm
gonna give you a
getting- okay,
recommendation.
fine.
But you're fine. Did you watch Mole, by the way?
I've only watched the first one, More Shadow
Yeah,
Lord.
yeah.
Yeah, I've only watched the first
It-
one, and I thought it was fantastic.
It is
it's
different
really
animation
good.
to Clone Wars, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah,
It's not the same.
It's
Okay.
like more
Thank you.
painterly.
I did
Yeah,
say that,
you
didn't I? I
say
did
that,
say
and
it was
then you
painted on.
Do you know?
Right,
Is it
thank
maybe
you.
because you're a woman?
I think it probably is.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said that, and
It was
they're like, no,
internalised
it's not. It's
misogyny, that's
exactly
the
the
reason.
same.
It was. Yeah. Anyway, Mole's probably a feminist. Yeah.
He is.
Right.
Listen, I'm having my recommendation moment, okay?
I'm going to say, if you're going to pick anyone from the
Okay.
Star Wars universe, but sure, carry on.
So, Steph, you like animation already. So I felt I was anything I would suggest you kind of already know about. Like, I'm not. So, there's a show on BBC iPlayer called Hushabye Lullaby, right? It is for babies.
That's
and
okay.
preschool
That's
kids.
fine.
But you're a mum.
I'm a mum.
But also, you get caught up in this busy world and you just need a moment to breathe, you know? And Hushabye Lullaby is one of the most beautiful animation. Like, it's the texture of it, the way that it's made is so fantastically wonderful.
Is it like Patchwork Pals?
But Pet Shop Pals.
Patchwork Pals, where they're all on a
Pals.
quilt. To animate, have you not ever seen that?
No,
You've
I
got kids,
haven't.
little kids.
I
Oh, you
know.
should watch that.
I
So it's
should.
basically, it's a patchwork, and it's got all little animals, and every little episode is like 4
Steph's
minutes.
fired back with her own.
I know.
Yeah, this is
Now
good
you've got
patchwork
homework as well.
Yeah.
It's like
I
4
will.
minutes, and the patchwork animals talk to each other.
See, that's cool.
It's really
And is it all set on, like, a quilt
It's on
type
the
thing?
quilt, and they have little
Yeah.
adventures. It's really beautiful.
I need to watch that. What's it on?
Okay, that's BBC as well. Patchwork
BBC.
Pals.
See,
Yeah.
BBC are good at investing in this
Okay,
stuff.
I'll do that.
So
Okay.
it's called Hushabye Lullaby. It's 3 minutes. It's made by a fantastic Scottish company. They're like tiny. They're called Curious Dreamers, and they really tie in both music and sound engineer, but also animation. It's fantastic. But it's all about like a lullaby for kids. But it's really coming. It's only 3 minutes, but it's just like the most soothing thing, and it just shows everything that animation for kids represents.
Okay.
And it's just a little hug for children, but without it being like crap, like Coco Melon or something like that.
Coco Melon.
Coco Melon. I mean, no,
boy.
listen. I mean,
Boy,
Coco Melon
boy,
has its
boy.
place. Okay, Coco Melon does have
Yeah.
its place. It does though, because they do some very catchy songs.
They do some
and
catchy
that's why all the
songs.
kids know the days of the week. So
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, JJ, he is cute. He is cute.
I feel like we're getting sidetracked.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
go
sorry.
on,
Okay,
go on.
yeah.
Here's the
sorry.
big challenge. The
Right,
big one.
okay,
Right, oh, God, yeah.
James. Okay.
I'm slightly scared.
You should be.
So I feel like I'm already shooting myself in the foot here. But you don't like 2D, so I'm like, you need to find something that's good in 2D. Because nothing is going to match Arcane. Because it's so
Right.
like beautiful.
So you're
You look
saying
like you're actually in pain,
I'm
James.
slightly apprehensive.
So you need to watch 2 things, by the way.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But the first thing is only 15 minutes long.
I can work with that.
Okay, the first thing
Alley
you're going to
cats.
watch.
The pinnacle of 2D animation.
Pinnacle. The first thing you're going to watch, you're going to treat, because you like film and you love speaking about film on this podcast. You're going to watch, it was one of the recommendations actually. It's called Primal. Okay.
This rings a bell.
Oh, yeah, I've
I
heard of
can't
that.
think why.
Yeah. So the guy that made Dexter's Laboratories, Powerpuff Girls, all that kind of stuff, he then like wants to make stuff for adults. And he made this show called Primal, which is about a caveman and a dinosaur that team up in prehistoric world.
Okay.
Right? But the first
Raised an eyebrow.
the first episode shows like the absolute beauty of what 2D animation is, which is when you watch it, I know you're like, I don't want to I want to get immersed. You can immerse yourself in the fact that the intelligence of how to get the most for your money with like how people move, like there's a beauty in how this 2D animation moves and how these pictures are painted and how you can be immersed in this world that's being created and how it's telling you something that you couldn't do in live action, that it means so much. If you had a man and a CG dinosaur, you'd be like, that CG dinosaur isn't real. But when you have a 2D man and a 2D dinosaur, you're like, yeah, they're real. It's goes places you don't expect. It's brutal, but also like it's very beautiful as well.
Okay.
And
These
it's-
all seem good things.
And I think you need, and it's only 50 minutes.
Okay.
So you need to give that a chance.
Crucially,
Okay?
that is an
Can I
important
ask you a
part.
question?
Yes.
It's a dinosaur one. Have you watched The Good Dinosaur? Which I've
Oh,
watched so much.
Steph.
I know.
Steph.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
Back
Go
on
on, go,
track.
go.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that is an animated film,
It
which
was
is about. It's so
beautiful.
beautiful.
So
we should do. You know
sad.
what we should do? We should have our own podcast where I ask you questions
Yeah.
about animated things.
Yeah.
You watch. Okay, fine.
And then I'll ask you, because you
Yeah.
know stuff about animation as well. Okay, right. And then the other one
Okay.
I'd recommend.
The other one.
Now, this is you play the video games right?
Yes, I do like the video
Okay.
games.
Video games.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's another show that's on Netflix that went completely on the radar. It's called, and don't like scrunch your nose up or anything.
Oh,
like this.
he's already like
The eyebrow is so high.
scrunching already.
It's called Captain Laserhawk, a Blood Dragon remix.
Whoa.
That sounds like a title you'd
Okay.
totally like.
Is this a Far Cry spin-off?
No.
It's not.
Well, it might be. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know Far Cry. I don't know what Far. It might be. But I'll explain. Why.
Okay.
Okay. So, Ubisoft is a big gaming company.
Who make Far Cry? Yes.
Okay.
So it probably is.
They have loads of different games. Assassin's Creed,
Yes.
Rayman, Far Cry.
Yeah.
Need I go on?
As I recall, there was a kind of weird futuristic punk DLC for one of the Far Cry games, which was Blood Dragon. I was assuming this
Okay,
is
yeah,
that.
that's exactly
Yeah.
it. Yeah. But what they've done, it's actually really, really cool. They've taken quite a talented writer and they have taken all these different games and put them in the same world. It's Avengers for video games.
Oh, I love an assemble
Okay.
story.
And like Rayman is a main character in this. He's
Not
like
a fan of
news
Rayman,
reporter.
but okay, that's fine.
But he has like a really dark like story that unravels. The main character is a badass action hero who's gay, which is
Okay.
always good because it's just original. It's different. It's really fun. It's crazy that this exists and no one knows that it exists. And it's got a massive epic world that you can get into and watch.
Okay.
And that's that.
You can't hate it already. You've got the eyes which say you hate it
I'm not
already.
hating on it yet.
Okay.
I'm prepared to potentially
What was
hate
that
it, but
called
I
again?
might like it.
Captain Laserhawk and the Blood Dragon remix, and that's on Netflix. That's on Netflix.
That definitely
And
wins the best title of.
It does. So K Win or Lose on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Boyd Electric City on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Electric City, yeah.
Steph Hushabye Lullaby on BBC iPlayer. James Captain Laserhawk a Blood Dragon remix on Netflix, and Primal, which I think is on HBO Max.
I
Okay.
love that you've got two things.
That's
Yeah.
fine. I will do two things. I am prepared to try both of these things because then it doubles the chance of me liking one.
Yes,
So,
yes, it
you
does.
know.
That's
Yeah.
what a very adult way. to
Thank
look
you.
at it.
That's
Yeah,
very
well done, you.
responsible
Yeah.
and
So,
mature of you.
What we're going to do is we are going to watch these things and then we will feed back on a special Pilot Plus episode, which we will put out, and you will find out what we thought of them.
I'm
Yeah.
going to give props to you.
John
for
going to
really...
mark us all out of 10
Yeah.
or something for our.
But
I hope so.
I won't be here. I could do a Zoom.
We're going to do it over our remote Riverside platform.
Remote
We're
Riverside
going to do a remote
platform.
record, and we'll parachute you in from Bonnie, Scotland.
Bonnie Scotland.
And you will, yeah.
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 Good
You'll
plan.
tell us why we got it wrong.
Yeah, I'm going to give you props for getting into animation and trying to
Yeah,
re-educate.
you should be really
yourselves.
proud of
You should
yourself.
be. You should be. John and I are both really pleased that you've come into
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
world.
Well, I'm trying.
Okay.
I'm trying. I'm doing my best, but I can promise nothing.
Okay, that's fine. Just
I
try.
think that's genuine.
Yeah.
You know, like we can't save you.
No.
I have to
You've
save
got to
myself.
yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, John, thank you very much for coming in and
Thanks.
giving us homework, which is an odd thing to say. But yes, no, we appreciate it. We think it's
Yeah,
good. And
fantastic.
for all of you who listen to this podcast, who are constantly wringing your hands and despairing at our unwillingness to engage with the animated arts, I hope, this shows a willingness, if not necessarily a,
And don't worry,
understanding.
podcasters. Every week I'll be here giving an hour recommendation. No, I won't. But yeah.
Well, we'll
you
see.
very
Let's see how we
much.
get on with this one. Well, John, thank you very much.
Thank you.
To be continued. All right, that was our animation interlude, which went on a little bit longer than I thought it would. So we're actually going to be controversial and skip news this week because, honestly, we will not have time to do reviews if we do. So we're going to go straight into this week's reviews. And first up this week, we have Lanterns on HBO Max, which is a DC Comics series about not one, but two Green Lanterns, Carl Chandler's Hal Jordan and Aaron Pierre's John Stewart. However, this is not your average superhero show because it was specifically pitched by DC Supremo James Gunn as True Detective with two Green Lanterns. And this sees sort of outgoing Lantern Hal Jordan. He's training up a potential replacement in John Stewart. And they visit the scene of a murder in Rushville, Nebraska. One that might have, should we say, an extraterrestrial component. Boydie! You watched a number of episodes of this. I know this because you mentioned this recently, that you've been watching lots of episodes of Lanterns.
Did I? Oh.
Yes. You mentioned it on the podcast, what you've been watching segment.
Yes.
So given that you've watched multiple
Yes.
episodes, I'm assuming you liked it.
I think this is one of the best examples of a superhero adaptation from a comic book into a television show. And in fact, the fact that it's co-created by Damon Lindelof, who of course did Watchmen, the TV show, which is
Another truly brilliant comic
brilliant show.
adaptation.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think he's hit the nail on the head because I think I am not particularly aware of the significance of the Green Lantern. I mean, I've seen the previous films, and I'm vaguely aware of what it is, but this really crystallizes the whole idea of there being different Green Lanterns, hence the title Lanterns, and of one older Lantern training the new Lantern. And it is literally that True Detective meets, what was the other thing that it meets?
Well, he just said it's True Detective with 2 Green Lanterns.
Right.
That was his pitch.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. But tonally, to use our favourite words, I thought it was really clever and smart, and kind of had a kind of, I don't know, had a more sophisticated tone to it than perhaps some previous shows based on DC comic book characters or any comic book characters. I really enjoyed it. I think the central Carl Chandler is fantastic. There's the grumpy old twat who's reluctantly training Aaron Pierre as John Stewart. I know that Steph is a huge fan of Aaron Pierre. She's very excited about the fact that I think we're interviewing him soon, hopefully.
You're interviewing him, aren't you?
On Tuesday.
Yeah.
If you could take her along, she'll be
I'll
your
just stand
technical
in the
support.
corner.
But they're both fantastic together. They've got real chemistry. It's really funny. It looks amazing. Like the first episode begins with a spectacular kind of action sequence that's brilliantly handled, and all the way through, though he's kind of constantly going, "It's aliens, it's aliens, it's aliens," and no one believes it. And then spoiler alert, when it turns out how it turns out, that's really well done as well. So you kind of all the way through, it's making it feel kind of authentic and believable, even though it's telling a wild story, really. So I absolutely loved it. Yeah, thought it was brilliant.
Steph.
Oh, it's sensational. It's so brilliant. I mean, I'm just going to hold my hands up. I'm a Marvel girl. I'm very much a Marvel girl.
I mean, I'm also a Marvel girl.
And I don't stray too far from Marvel. I'm not really into the DC universe, but God, this is like righting all the wrongs of Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern horror show. The chemistry is there. Aaron Pierre is just brilliant as the straight man. I love the whole idea of the literal passing of the torch. It's really funny. Everything you said, it's sophisticated the way it shows, but it is like True Detective with superheroes. It's. I mean, I love Kelly MacDonald.
Oh, she's brilliant.
She's so good in it.
Sometimes Scottish, sometimes very Scottish, but still, we forgive her.
I totally forgive.
She's got like a southern accent that is,
accent. But I think that adds to the humour, and I love her sheriff character. So this is an absolute triumph. So Chris Mundy, who's writer showrunner on it, this is an absolute triumph. This is going to make people, because I think Green Lantern's one of those superheroes who I think, I don't know, he's not is he anyone's favourite? I think he's nobody's favourite. But after this is going to breathe new life into this superhero. I have no bad notes about it. And also in the first episode, just even the music, the music they use, like they use Leon Bridges' "I'm Coming Home," which is one of my favourite songs of all time. Everything about it's like, oh, Aaron Pierre is I've got room in my life for a deeply sensual superhero.
I'm sure you have room in your life, Aaron Pierre.
I love it. You will lap it up. It's great, James.
I mean, it is all of those things. It is by degrees the best thing to come out of James Gunn's DC universe. Admittedly, from my perspective, that bar is exceptionally low because, as you know, I hated Superman with the Fire of 1,000 Yellow Suns. But it's extraordinary. I mean, it's what happens when you take all of the aspects of this character and ground it so thoroughly in a way that feels organic and feels real. And even the more, shall we say, because there are aspects, and this happens in all superhero stories, there are aspects of these things which has an absurdity to them. Like the Green Lantern Oath, perhaps, in Darkest Day and Blackest Night, all of that, the fact that he's charging his ring from a lantern, all of those things. They manage to make all of those things either funny, or or there's a humor. Even like they make fun of the oath in this. Like a character literally makes fun of it, and it's like they're very self-aware. It's very knowing, but it's also very respective of the source material. So it's not in any way denigrating it for people who are fans of it. It may not be the intergalactic story some people were looking for because this is a detective story, right? Like that's what it is, a mystery story. They're trying to solve a puzzle. But the joy of those two characters together, I mean, they're wonderful. And Aaron Pierre's character, John Stewart, not that one, his backstory is fascinating. There's a whole episode dedicated to that. It's heartbreaking. It's a little awful. And I mean that in terms of what happens to him and stuff, not the episode. The episode's wonderful. But I watched, I think, 5 episodes of this last night, back to back, and then had to go to bed.
Yeah.
But it's completely brilliant.
It
and
is.
it's, I think deservedly going to be on a Shows of the Year list somewhere.
It's going to be on mine.
It's really, really good. This is kind of one of those must-see shows this year, I think, without a doubt.
And it's really I do think if you are like me and you're a bit of a Marvel, like I'm very Marvel-y, I think you will be turned.
I think if you don't like comic book stuff,
Yes,
you will
because-
still like
Oh,
it.
Yes,
definitely. No,
this
that's my moment.
that's the other
Don't be
thing.
put off because
No.
you could know absolutely nothing about what the Green Lantern is or
Yeah.
DC
It
universe.
doesn't matter.
It
Don't
works totally
think of
in its
this
own
as
right.
a galactic peacekeeping, organisation drama. Think of it as True Detective with superheroes.
Well, that's the whole point where someone says early on, why don't you wear the suit anymore? He says, I wear it on special occasion. He just walks around in a leather jacket like he doesn't care.
Can I just say, I love that bit. And there's a court scene in the first episode where they say, we're going to, they get bail because they're like, he's a flight risk because he can actually fly. It's like those little moments, they're just brilliant.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I really, really enjoyed it. Thought it was loads of fun. Watch it is all I'm going to say.
Yes.
Lanterns then, which is on HBO Max when, Boydminster?
I think from today, Monday.
From
I
today,
believe.
Monday. Okay. Next up, we have Ludwig, Series 2, which is as much fun to say as it is to watch. And this is David Mitchell's prodigious puzzle solver taking on more mysteries, now not pretending to be his twin brother, but actually as himself. And it begins here with an episode which is a less conventional who didn't done it after a body turns up at the opera. Steph, is this a puzzle worth solving for you?
Well, you know what? I think I've made it known that I'm not really into the kind of cosy crime.
You've
I
made it perfectly clear.
I've made it perfectly clear. I'm very, kind of true crime. I love my true crime or real, high end kind of
Nasty,
crimey
vicious,
drama.
disgusting.
But, and I didn't, yes, thank you, Boyd.
Sure.
Yes. And I didn't watch season 1, but I did do a catch up on season 1, so I knew exactly what happened. And they do a nice reel at the beginning of this anyway. I thought this, it's dynamite casting, isn't it? Because Anna Maxwell-Martin is just, I'd watch anything with her in, really. And David Mitchell. What I love about David Mitchell is it really is just David Mitchell playing David Mitchell in this. And he's wondrous, so why wouldn't you like it? What I especially loved about this, because it's not particularly my bag, is I enjoy the fact that there's this ongoing mystery of where is his brother. The other thing I really enjoyed, which is harking back to my Murder, She Wrote love, is that I enjoy the fact that this whole mystery of the murder in isolation gets wrapped up in one episode. So you can just watch one episode and it's all wrapped up and you know who did it, done it, didn't do it, or whatever. And that, to me, was very appealing. It's not setting my world alight, but I really thoroughly enjoyed watching this, and I like to be in the company of David Mitchell and Anna Maxwell-Martin.
There's a weird wave of kind of cosy crime with grumpy old guys at the centre of it. So you remember you had Timothy Spall in Death Valley, the BBC show. You've got Mark Gatiss in Bookish, which is back
very soon.
Very soon. And you've got this with David Mitchell being brilliantly grumpy. And this is, for me, the Rolls-Royce of the genre. I think this is the Rolls-Royce of the whole cosy crime. And it's not even that cosy.
It's not that cosy.
No. What cosy crime has come to mean is murder mystery where we don't have your naked woman with a throat cut.
Not salacious.
The tone is quasi-comedic. In fact, quite a lot comedic. Comedy drama that happens to have murder involved somehow. And it's kind of how they write around the murder and make the murder seem cosy-ish is one of the smartest things about these shows. But I think this is the smartest one. And I know James particularly doesn't like procedurals where the mystery is solved.
I do not enjoy an episodic TV show.
So,
no.
I do.
Yeah, same. But I think it's a really difficult trick to pull off because, to solve the whole thing in an hour, and this has also got an arc going on of the mystery of his twin brother, and that's the ongoing thing that's pushing him and Anna Maxwell-Martin, his sister-in-law, and her teenage son. They've got that pushing it, and that's always kind of percolating in the background while he solves the murder of the week. And I think the murder of the week in the opening episode is really clever. It's really well handled. You've got two women in it who go back to the Alan Partridge days. It's a joy to see the two of them back together. And it's just supremely enjoyable. And it's funny because it's kind of very slickly produced. It's nicely directed. It's as visually interesting as it needs to be. It's definitely not a basic, What was the show we reviewed recently where you were surprised by how low the production values were? Reacher, that's right. It's not in that sense. This BBC One mainstream Thursday night 9 o'clock drama is kind of better produced than Reacher in some ways because it actually looks great as it needs to look. So I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, I think it's great. Did you hate it?
No, I don't hate it at all. I think he's really, really charming in the role. It's fun. It has that really light, as you say, cozy tone to it, but it's well constructed. It's got people like Ralph Ineson in it. Like, it's great cast. Anna Maxwell Martin, great cast of characters. But I'm not going to watch it more because I just don't love episodic crime procedurals. Like, I
know what you mean, but I think it's like if you were like having a bit of cake and a cup of tea, like it's a nice thing to watch.
But it's good, and
it
feels quality. Like, it's not like it's a bad show, or it's, I'm not being snobbish about it. It's just not a genre that, like, I don't like the dip in, dip out shows.
Okay.
But it's a really well done.
Well done. The only
genre.
clunky bit is in the beginning they explain that the two detectives that you work with in the first series have gone, and that's because Garen Howell left to join the Pit. He's Dennis in the Pit, who's brilliant, one of the best characters, and Azuka Hoyle left to do Prisoner on Sky, and those two have gone from the scene. We should say.
So they have a device there where they're like, this is why they're not around.
Exactly.
But yeah, Ludwig.
Great. Yes.
BBC One.
Thursday, I believe, 9 o'clock. Yes.
Thursday 9 o'clock.
The 20th of August, 2026.
Finally this week, we have Sunny Nights, which is an Australian comedy, which sees Will Forte and Darcy Carden as siblings who moved to Sydney to set up a spray tan business, which is kind of flawed from the get-go. But anyway, they also get entangled in organised crime. So who among you wishes to combine your knowledge of tanning salons and mafioso?
Oh, Steph had to lend me her laptop so I could watch this because it hadn't landed in my thing. So I've only seen half of the first episode.
Okay,
Steph.
right. So Darcy Carden is currently, I'm also watching 5 Star Weekend, which Darcy Carden's in, and she's absolutely brilliant in that. Okay, so the brother and sister of Martin and Vicky, who have gone over to Australia to make a business out of their spray tanning. Right. The first thing is, okay, it's a bit too long, I think, this first episode, because it's got that thing of it's a genre blend where you're trying to blend the comedy and serious crime, and the crime is very serious in it. Why is it very serious? It's supposed to be really serious. Martin's also trying to win back his ex-wife who's in Sydney, so there's that thread to it. I want this to be funnier than it actually is. Okay, I wanted this to be really funny, and I hate to say this, but I think if it wasn't for Darcy Carden, this whole thing would fall apart because she's so brilliant, and her character is so, she's like, she's kind of a real boss, but she's really funny, and but it's sort of inauthentic in the way that such bad things happen, but she deals with them all in a very kind of like, just sort of jokey way, which it just seems very unrealistic. I don't really know how I feel about this, because there were parts of it I really enjoyed and I thought were funny, but there were parts of it I just thought, I don't know what this is. I don't know. It's a bit of a caper with this brother and sister trying to get, and when in those kinds of things the main characters make decisions and you just think, of course you're not going to pay that ransom. Don't be a dick. Like, I don't know. There was bits in it that I just didn't really love or believe, and I wasn't quite sure what I was watching or what I was supposed to be caring about, because I didn't care about him getting back with his wife, but essentially I do really care about the character of Vicky, and I thought she was really kind of well fleshed out. What
about the opening with is it an alligator or a crocodile?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's an incredible opening, and and it comes round, to what actually happens in that. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure how I feel about it. And I think it's because I need to watch a couple more of them. And I was only given one, which is the only reason I didn't watch any more of them. But James, I feel like you hated it.
No, I wanted to hate it. Don't get me wrong, I didn't love it. It's very much not my kind of thing. But it kind of, and when I looked at the runtime, I thought, oh God. So
it's a bit long, isn't it?
This is a little bit long, because the first episode is nearly an hour. And I was like, okay, this is going to outstay its welcome a little bit. And early on, I thought this is a little too wacky and a little too silly for me. But weirdly, when it got into it, there's a dryness to some of the Australian wit here that I really appreciated. So Darcy Carden kind of, obviously, character's American and quite over the top and comedic. She's funny. Will Forte kind of fades into the background a little bit in this show, I have to be honest.
He's really good in 4 seasons, so it's like...
He's there and he's doing stuff, but he's not
It's a bit. He's not a funny character. He's the straight man.
He's the
so to
straight
speak,
man,
yeah.
and I think therefore he
It's a bit
doesn't
waste.
really
Yeah, it's a
stand
waste.
out. Whereas I think it's the Australian criminal element. I found them quite entertaining.
They are entertaining. Do you know what I mean though when I say I'm not sure? This sounds like
You
a
know
really
what it's
strange
like,
thing.
though? You know what it's weirdly like, though? Do you remember Big Mistakes, which is Dan Levy's
See,
last
I didn't
show?
watch that.
Which is about a brother and sister getting
Yeah.
involved with criminal people.
Oh,
and it's
is
such a
it?
similar concept.
Okay.
And I think this is better than that. So I think
Yeah,
that was
I would
really
agree.
all over the place and didn't work for me. It was really disappointing because I love Dan Levy and I love Schitt's Creek, etc. I think this is more coherent from what I've seen. I've only seen half of the first episode.
It's not. It's,
But-
it's good. It's
Yeah.
really good.
But it is too long. You're right. It needs to be half hour, 45 minutes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I wouldn't call it really good. I think it's fine.
It's
like
decent.
it's okay. It's decent. There's nothing wrong with it. Maybe it gets better as it goes along. I mean, I won't find out. I'm not going to lie to you. But
Put it this way: it's not a strong week, and we were scrabbling around
Yeah,
for a third
I
show.
think that's
soon.
fair.
It was either this or Kabul,
which had been out for like 2 weeks.
No,
I think-
well, only 1 week.
I think
but,
I
yeah.
will just say though, I do think Darcy Carden's good in this.
Oh, no.
But I just
She is. She's great.
I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I know
It's
exactly
like,
what you.
you're
Well,
like,
because the thing
what?
is, it's like it's a hard line to walk when you do these kind of like, is it a drama, is it a comedy? It sounds like, oh, it doesn't matter. Well, the only reason it matters is when you apply comedy plot devices and character decisions to a show that feels slightly dramatic, then they don't ring true. And I think
No.
that's where
That's
it
exactly
falls
what
down
it
slightly.
is.
But anyway, Sunny Nights.
It's just started on ITV1 on Sunday night, last night, and carries on weekly, I think, about 11 o'clock at night. It's a weird bit of scheduling.
Just to make
frankly.
one last point, I think the other thing is the tonal shifts are too quick in it, going from comedy to
Oh,
crime.
I mean, yeah, it does whiplash you around the
Don't
place.
talk to him about tonal shifts. So we are all day.
Sorry.
Oh, God.
Anyway, we are out of time, so we're going to get thrown out of the studio. That is it for this week's podcast. We hope you've enjoyed it and our little animated interlude. Do subscribe to Pilot Plus, not least of all because you want to hear what we thought of those animated shows, and you'll only be able to find out on Pilot Plus. But please do. It's not very expensive and you get lots of good things for it. We'll be back next week. And what we'll be doing, who knows? What is next week? As you said, Bookish is coming back. Fightlands on Sky Atlantic. Dark Matter comes to Apple. That'll probably be
Yes.
embargoed, but I've seen it all anyway.
Sure.
But that's very, very exciting. And we will have one or both of Carl Chandler and or Aaron Pierre. And then it's in a state of flux at the moment, but there will
is
be
it?
at least one, possibly two Green Lanterns on this podcast next week.
I mean, if it's not Aaron Pierre, you'll have Steph to answer.
I
to.
think it really should be Aaron Pierre.
yeah, well, there's a very real possibility that we have a custody situation where I might end up doing both of them and then one of them goes to the Empire podcast. But we're going to figure it out. Don't worry.
Okay, well, can you get Aaron Pierre and ask him about his
F the
star
Empire
turn in
podcast.
a morning show?
I'll see what we can do.
Priority
Okay.
pilot.
Anyway, pilot out.